Welcome to another episode of Flipping Rich. My name is Julie Muse, and this is my counter, Peter Vekselman. So, Peter, today I want to talk about something really, really important. Have you ever heard of the terminology that health is wealth?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that actually mean to you? Health is wealth.
Well, I guess the first thing, a lot of people don't even associate health with their business, their occupation, their, financial freedom. And I'll tell you, in my opinion, I think there's 100% correlation. I think there's 100% correlation. And I could tell you, one doesn't work without the other. One doesn't work without the other. It's kind of like, I think I've shared this with you. My mom always used to tell me this, how health and wealth are tied in. They're like, Pete, so here's what happens. And by the way, I live by this. But this is what my mom used to tell me. It's like, when you're young, you don't have the wealth. And so it's tough. Let's face it. Living, when you don't have money is not an easy thing. When you're older and old, you lose your health. So she always taught me there comes this point in your life where you have the ability to have both. Yeah. Now, I think that point is getting extended further and further in terms of how old you have to be. But the bottom line is this. She taught me that really to be uber successful in all fronts, that health and wealth have to rock it out together. So I think they're totally related. By the way, at least in my trajectory, I could tell you that when I'm healthy, I don't know why, but the business seems to be going a lot better. Things seem, and this is, I think this is the best way I could describe it. When I'm really rocking it out on my health, even when things are not going well, it's a lot easier to repair. Yeah. So the two are totally related, totally.
Well, I know you, so I'm going to get a little personal here for people that are on camera. I believe, too, I saw a big difference in you, not just in business, but how old's your youngest child right now?
Olivia's 5 months.
5 months old.
5 months, yes.
So I will say, I mean, do you think that has any part to play in too, just like in your personal life? I mean, why do you want to be there for Olivia? Why do you want to take care of yourself? I mean, how should people think of it that way?
Well, that's a good point. I think, well, again, you could tie this right back to business. And you and I both know, if you just get into business just for the heck of it, just because I want to make a lot of money, it ain't going to work. Very few people become uber successful, and then you ask them, well, why did you become so successful? Oh, I don't know. I had nothing else to do. Yeah. Well, but I think health is the same way. I think a lot of the reason that so many people fail on their health side, I think so many people don't achieve healthy lifestyles, is they treat it the way they treat their businesses that never become successful. They just kind of do it. They just kind of do it. And, so I've learned that, for me personally, I have to treat my health the way I treat business. Yeah. Which means I have to tie it into some kind of goals, some kind of objectives, some kind of, okay, here's the plan. Here's some mile markers. And if I don't do that, it don't work. So yeah, perfect example. So we just obviously had a baby a couple months ago. And I could tell you, as exciting as it is to have her, and as fun as it has also, no question, caused me to level up on my health side.
Yeah, because your other kids are how old?
Well, I don't know if I want to go there, but as you know, Emma just graduated.
College.
Emma just graduated college. So, here it is. Emma's, at 22, and I have almost a 2-month-old, basically. Yeah. So, but again, I think you have to find things in life from a health perspective. If the only way you're going to do healthy things is because, well, I'm just going to do healthy things, or I'm just going to stay more fit, or I'm just going to go work out. I know for me personally, it doesn't work. And I could tell you, and I know you've seen it in me, we've talked about it, from the time that, that we were pregnant with Olivia, till now, I have really, it's funny. I remember sitting at dinner with some of our friends, and this is before Era knew, and we were, back then we were kidding, because, in your 50s, you kind of never sure if you're going to be able to have a baby, but we were kind of kidding, and somebody said, well, what would be some of the reasons, what would change in your life? And obvious when you have kids, you and I both have kids, so you and I both know all the things that change. But I do remember, I kid you not, Julie, about a year and a half having this conversation, and at that dinner table, and I did tell everybody that one of the things that's going to change if we have more kids is that I'm going to level up on my health. I'm going to level up on my health. So again, events in your life, things in your life, find things in your life to do it. Because when that health side is kicking on all cylinders, in my opinion, across the board, everything else gets easier.
You know what? As I'm listening to you and the story about your mom and the kids and where you're at, you're like, your mom was saying, okay, at one point when you're younger, you have health, and then you have wealth, right? For a lot of people.
Yep.
Well, I think what she's getting at is when the two overlap each other.
Yep.
There's this period of time, and I mean, I don't know, I would consider it like prime time.
Yep.
Prime time.
Yep.
When I look at you, when I look at, what she's saying, and I think your mom is happy to the fact that you're really, what you're doing is you're extending your prime time.
No question.
Right? A lot of people get to their 40s, right? Their kids are going off to college or they're, graduating middle school and high school. And I say that because in the 40s, my child's already graduated. But you're extending your prime time, right? That overlap time, that's really what you want to have longer time of, right?
No question.
Of that time. So
no question.
Well, we talk about hacks in real estate all the time, different hacks that you can do to, talk to sellers, to do all different things. But let's talk about some hacks as far as health goes.
Well, but you had such a key point before this. I want to address that, and then we'll get into some hacks. And it's so true. Like, we get into business, right? And no one gets into business. Like, we got into real estate. We didn't get into real estate to do one deal. As a matter of fact, like if somebody ever says, Pete, I just want to get in real estate and go through all the incredible difficulties, and all I want to do is do one deal, then I'm going to quit. I'm like, don't. There's like way easier ways to make money, way less stressful, way more certain than all this. Well, you're right. When you're talking about extending things, but bottom line is nobody wants to be successful for a short period of time, right? When people want to become successful, nobody says, I want to do it for a short period of time. And when people start achieving success, they definitely don't want to do it for a short period of time. But again, nobody thinks about that from a health perspective until it's too late, by the way. Then it's too late. But you're absolutely right. It's that extending. You want to extend things out. You think about this. Very few, I know I didn't. I didn't like hit it out of the ballpark in my 20s. I didn't hit it out of the ballpark in my 30s. It took me a while to get to be successful. So why would I not want to extend it? But for some reason, a lot of times when people think, well, I want to extend it, they're always thinking about, I want to extend my financial success. No, you're right. You want to extend that health success because what you want to do is you want to extend the time to enjoy it. So, for anyone that thinks like, why are you guys talking about health? I follow you guys for real estate experience. I know I follow you guys for business knowledge. And I can tell you that the two, in my opinion, 100%, 100% locked in. So, you're talking about hacks. And, first of all, let me just be the first one to tell you, I am no expert on this. But I am, although I'm not an expert in it, I can tell you I spent a lot of time studying it, trying to educate myself in it. Trying to learn more about it, and there's some basic things. Like these are almost too basics to mention, but they work. Number one, eat healthy. One of the things that I've been through parts of my life. By the way, Julie, I've been through parts of my life where it was just a disaster on how I ate. And once again, it is amazing how everything ties in together. It's like the domino effect. I ate bad, I had low energy, I gained some weight, and inevitably, boom, somehow physically, mentally, everything goes down, the business goes down. So I think it's very important to watch what you eat. I'll tell you one thing I started doing that has really helped me, and this next one is not a controversial one, but I will tell you, since we're talking about hacks, I want to share this. This one, it just seems like look, one of our top partners, Seth, right? With the hack I'm about to share with you, if Seth was sitting right here, he'd be like, not a big believer. But I think it's one of those personal things. I started fasting, and for me, it helped. Sometimes it's counterintuitive. People think, well, Pete, and remember, not eating less, fasting, like eating just during a certain part of.
Well, I mean, it's hard concept because, like, for forever, really, it's like, okay, get your first meal of the day in as quickly as possible. Get your then get this, and the end of the day, that should be the smallest meal. But like, what is fasting or the act of fasting?
Well, active fasting is exactly that. Not eating during certain parts of the time. So I tend to go, and the more I'm doing this, the further I go along with it. I tend to do a minimum of 18 to 20-hour fasts on a daily basis. Again, I tie this into business because we talk business. Here's how I tie this into business. And again, this is totally counterintuitive. I wouldn't have believed it until I'd done it. But do you know, again, to be successful in business, I think part of it, I think as we look at most people that are successful in business, they all tend to have certain things in common. One thing across the board that I've seen is they have energy. They have high energy. And I could tell you the act of fasting has created even more energy. People have always told me, we're drinking coffee back here. I asked Taylor, was this going to get in the way? She said, no. But I will tell you, there was a saying about me that said, Pete, you make coffee nervous. Because I think I've kind of always been high energy. but I will tell you, Julie, that fasting has actually created even more energy in me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's gotten me to think clearer. It is no question that I think clearer. I've gotten sharper, and I've got this. Another one of my favorite hacks that I've encountered, on my journey to being more successful is cold therapy. I hate, by the way, let me be the first one to tell you. Oh, this is another thing. I'm glad I brought this up. And again, let's tie this into business success. I know one of the things that frustrates you and I is when people say, yeah, I want to be successful. I'm all in. But I don't want to do that. I don't. One of the most frustrating things I hear people who want to accomplish something, but then they're not willing to do what it takes to do it. All right. And I could tell you, when it comes to health, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
People all the time say they want to be successful, but then they're like, oh, but I don't want to do this and this. Well, one of the things I absolutely hate, like with a passion, is cold. Like, I don't know why, but like if you were to like throw me in a cold freezer, that would be to me like, throw me with 50,000 alligators. But I will tell you, I've started cold therapy, and that has once again elevated my game. It's elevated my game mentally. It's elevated my game physically. It's elevated like from just kind of how my body is, like skin and all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing. But here's the thing: as I think about all this, I think it's the two go together. And I don't want to bring anyone's name up, but us partnering with people all over the United States, we come across all kinds of people.
Oh yeah.
We come across our partners come from all walks of life, from different economic perspectives, different geographic perspectives. Male, female. A lot of money, a little bit money, and all this. But think about this. Now, just think for a second. The people that are like doing really well, and the people that we're doing a lot of deals with, they tend to have like this little pep around them, don't they? They kind of high energy. Like you could tell they're lively. And unfortunately, because this happens too when you deal with a lot of people, we have people that have some health challenges, right? And there's just not as much success around there. If you think about it.
Well, I mean, like I've always been a big proponent, like that. There's no matter what, there's always one thing you can change.
Yeah.
And that's your attitude. You know what I mean? You
100%.
can wake up every day no matter what's happened to you. And I believe me, I've been through a lot of things, but it's like a choice.
Yep.
Really to wake up and have just a good attitude. You know what I think about when I think about health is wealth is commitment. Okay? And I'll be honest with you, that's the hardest thing for me. Like I personally don't have a heart of a time committing to something that's work-based.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I make a commitment to do something, it's like if it comes out of my mouth, anybody that knows me knows it's just done. It's done. I'm never going to fail there because I'm going to do it till it happens. The hard thing with people though is it's hard to commit for some reason to health as much as wealth, right? Like it's easier for me to say, "Oh, I'll do this, and I could do 100 deals, and I could make all this money," and I believe that. But sometimes when it comes to health, that commitment's a little bit different. Because I think the true problem is that people don't understand, or I don't understand the how the two tie together, the health is wealth part.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it this weekend actually. Was up at the cabin with my husband and our grandbaby. She's about to turn 3. And, we're riding around on the side by side. We're swimming in the creek. We're going in the woods and we're doing all of this. And really the only thing I was thinking about is, oh my goodness, we've got other kids that I'm going to have grandbabies. Like I've got to keep this up for years and years and years. So I don't know, maybe sometimes having another person kind of gets you a little bit more motivated, like Olivia, like your wife. I mean, why do you think that is that people tend to work as easier than themselves?
Well, I think it comes down to what we were just talking about. Use an example of a business. Like, okay, Pete, if I know I have to get something done, it's partner driven, I'm going to get it done, right?
Yeah.
But Pete, if I know I got to go to the gym every day for the next 6 months, I can't say 100% I'll do it. And it really comes down to that. It's how much priority you put on it.
Yeah.
It's what the reason is. Whether it's someone else, like obviously with me having another baby help, to elevate me and all this. But see, I find things, the reasons of why I need to do something. And unfortunately, when it comes to health, a lot of people just don't. They take it for granted. It's like this. Here's the best way I can explain it to you. Let's look at business, right? Let's say you already have $10 million on your checking account, right? Well, how motivated are you going to be to get another $60,000? Yeah, it'd be nice, but if I don't get it, I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens with health. Most of us kind of sort of have it. We're not on our deathbed, and so the motivation level is not there. Whereas in business, most of us, I know you did, I know I did, we start out broke, right? And so the motivation level's there, the reason's there. The why we have to do something is there. Whereas you're right, on the health side, you kind of catch yourself every once in a while and you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to have more grandkids and, I have this coming in and that coming up. But most of the time you just don't think about that. And unfortunately, again, it's like starting out, and you hear this all the time, who are the biggest, what's a great way to squander a fortune in the United States? Give it to your kids. That is unfortunately, reality is people that are exorbitantly rich and successful, when they will a lot of things to their kids, unfortunately, they get squandered. Why? Because they have it. And once you have something, it's very hard to get motivated to get to the next level. And that's what happens at the health level, I'll be honest with you. Most of us do have health. And most of us are able to do the basics of life. And so this is why it's so important to figure out that why. You got to figure out that why. Now, let's use an extreme. Let's say tomorrow you find out you have cancer, right? And to cure yourself, let's say it's a 100% curable cancer, but in order to cure yourself, you have to go to the gym 6 days a week. In order to cure yourself, you have to quit smoking. In order to cure yourself, you have to eat tip-top shape. What are the chances you're going to do all that?
Probably 100%.
100%. There you go. And that's really what it comes down to, because the reality is most people don't find themselves in that position. And this is why I link, and I guess you linked it, but it's so true, health and wealth go together. They don't go together just so you can enjoy one with the other. They do. They go together from a perspective you have to treat them the same.
Yeah.
You have to treat them the same. You have to put as much emphasis on your health as you do on your wealth, as you do on your success. And then when it's that important, I heard, I forgot his name, a famous speaker, and he said if you treat your health the way you treat your next breath, and you treat that the exact same way across the board, you'll be amazed how much healthier you're going to be. And it's so true. And the reality is we just don't. But I will tell you this, and take it from a person that's been on both sides of the equation. From there, I have been not extremely healthy, that I have things that I shouldn't have been doing, things I shouldn't have been doing. And to where I am now, where I can't say I'm perfect by any means, far from it, but definitely more on track. I could tell you from personal experience, it's a lot better being on this side of the fence.
Mhm.
Oh, and by the way, here's the other thing that I've heard people say, and I was there too. That's why it's like I say other people, but it's really me. Well, a lot of times I just said I didn't want to give up certain things. Right? I mean, there was times in my life where I drank way more than I drink now. And to me, mentally, just didn't want to give it up, right? There were times where, especially when I was building my business, I was broke, but that's an excuse, really. But I thought, I thought I was totally broke, so I couldn't afford it. I thought I didn't have the convenience of time because I had to be so 24/7 making money. That was an excuse. So I went on this, I don't know if you know this, but I went on this like fast food diet for like a year. Well, let me tell you something. Take it from someone that's been on a fast food diet for a year. Bad idea.
Yeah.
But again, I just didn't think I wanted to give it up. Like I thought I was giving up time. I thought I was giving up too much money. Those are all excuses. Those are all excuses. Just like you and I don't buy into the excuse of someone telling us, "Oh, but I don't want to call owners because most of them don't want to sell." Really? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just like the way you and I don't buy into those excuses. I think it's important for people that really want to become healthy. Don't buy into the excuses they have of not becoming healthy. Because here's the other thing. And let me just say this. We talk about this all the time. I know you do. I've heard you speak on stages where you'll say things like, "Hey, if I could do this, you could do this," right? If I can come out of the background I came out of and the hardships I was facing and go from like where I was to where I am now, then no one out there in that audience, none of you guys have an excuse not to become successful. I could tell you the same thing about at the health end. If whether it's me or the millions of other people that have kind of come from where they shouldn't have been health-wise to where they should be, if we could do it, so can they do it.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great ending to today's podcast. Basically, if they can do it, you can do it too. And hopefully you learned a little bit today about the importance of health and wealth and how those two correlate together. Thank you so much for joining us.